Hey, welcome back to another Unscripted Reviews. Today we're talking about Tuesday, released June 7th, 2023, directed by, I gotta look up the name, Diana Anayunas Pusik. I'm probably saying that wrong. And starring Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I'm probably saying that wrong too, I'm bad with names, but she's the lady from Seinfeld. That's probably the best description I can give. But the plot synopsis is a mother and a daughter confront death in the form of a talking parrot. Now, just by that plot synopsis, it doesn't sound very interesting. Yeah, we're talking about death again, and it's being personified as an animal or a Grim Reaper or something. But the plot synopsis is not very intriguing, just from just first glance. The main reason why I went to go see this movie is because it wasn't going to be around for very long. It seems to look like it's going to have a 2-week or 3-week release, which means that it's not going to have a lot of attention on it because they're kind of just putting it out there and pulling it back to save money. Like, whoever wants to go see it will go see it in the first week or whatever, and then we're going to save money and pull it away. Movies that do that are usually very niche and very unique. And I love movies like that, so if I get to see a movie like that, if it's on my radar, then I'm there in the seat. And I saw the poster, and I saw that it wasn't going to be available for a long time. I saw A24 was the studio backing it. Those three things, I'm like, okay, let me go see it. Not going to see the trailer, not going to know anything about it. And I have to say, not doing any of that, no context, made the movie so much better. I feel like doing that with movies it should be a more common practice. I feel like trailers can ruin things a lot. But again, trailers are there to intrigue people. No one's going to do what I just did to go see a movie. They're going to see a trailer and be like, oh, I'm intrigued. Let me go see that. That's how it goes. But I feel like it's such a unique experience to not see anything, but still trust it and just be like, you know what? I'm going to spend money on this tonight and we'll see what happens. Nice little surprise, And surprise, surprise, it was really good. I feel like what really stood out to me about this movie is that it takes a very intense subject matter involving death, the death of a child, and how a mother has to deal with that. I feel like that's a very intense subject. You don't want to really touch that too much. It's very depressing. What you want to talk about that, right? It's not depressing. What's nice is that the movie, surprisingly, is not very depressing. And it's not poking fun at it. It's not treating it without any respect. It's not distracting itself. Oh yeah, we gotta talk about the dead child, No, I feel like it has a very good balance of keeping you entertained with some pretty surprising humor, out of nowhere. Very dark humor in some areas, but with a movie like this, I feel like it had to have that. And that's why it's not a drag to go through. Because sometimes these kind of movies are well, I'll watch it once, I'll get depressed, and I'll never watch it again because it's uncomfortable. No. I have to say that I wouldn't mind seeing this again. It's very enjoyable, very, very well paced. And again, it's a very intense story, so at the end, you're, in tears if this kind of stuff gets you. And yeah, it has a very good message about how do you deal with death. And a lot of movies and shows do that, right? We've always heard about, well, how do you deal with death? It's a very ad nauseum kind of question. But, a lot of times when you have a very clear message or a very clear vision of what you want to talk about, a very passionate director and writer, because she wrote and directed this person named Diana. That's a very weird way of saying that. But she wrote and directed this movie, and it was so well realized, you can't help but appreciate, wow, they were able to get their message across. It wasn't lost in translation. I feel like what they wanted to say was able to be said without any kind of studio interference. And you love seeing that. You love seeing someone's vision be on screen without any kind of extra, weird stuff going on, oh, well, maybe director's cut, But I really appreciate just how unique it was. Very unique approach. And one thing I'll say right now that I love when I watch a movie is when a movie gives you a puzzle piece, right? Or a puzzle, and it's not confusing or not overly complicated, but it's not too easy either. Because sometimes you have a movie that goes like, hey, here's some puzzle pieces for a 10,000 puzzle, you know? That's kind of confusing. For some people, hey, they love that 10,000 puzzle, right? Why do I keep saying puzzle piece puzzle? I don't know. But people love that, you know, they get to spend all that time, you know, learning about where this goes, where that goes. And hey, I like that every now and then when I feel like it. But honestly, my genuine response to that is like, that's just too much right now. I don't want to deal with that. Or then you have another version of that where someone is like, hey, here's a puzzle. And you're like, okay, I can't, it's already been done for me. Yeah, it looks nice though, doesn't it? And you're like, well, yeah, but I didn't even get to do it. Oh, well, yeah, but, you know, you get to see what it is, though. That right there, no engagement. So why should I be engaged in the story? That's why sometimes I really hate when they have that, hi, that's me. You're probably wondering what I'm doing around here. It's like, I hate that kind of approach. I understand why it needs to be done for certain movies, but a lot of times I'm like, it just feels very lazy. And you don't trust your audience to be able to understand what's going on. But a movie like this, where it gives you a puzzle, but guess what? It's like a 20-piece puzzle, you know? It's like, it's not very complicated, but it's still engaging. You know, it's not too easy, but it's not overly hard. So I love when a movie can do that. It's actually a very, very, like, hard thing to do, to be able to make it engaging enough where you feel like you've learned something, but not make it too hard where you lose your audience. And I feel like she did a very good job with doing that with this movie. Again, death is it's always there. It's always around us. And having more ways of understanding how to deal with it in very, you know, unique and personal ways, I feel like is very important. And I feel like more people need to engage with stories like that. Because we're always going to have to deal with death. And you might as well be able to learn how to deal with it when it happens. And I feel like this movie did a very unique way of telling it and very unique way of explaining it. And yeah, honestly, very well made movie. So far, one of my favorites of the year. We're in June, so, you know, we have a lot more movies to go. But yeah, I hope this movie does all right enough to make back a budget. I probably won't. Unfortunately, it's just how the movie industry is right now. If it's not an IP or, you know, it's not a big trendy topic, it's not going to push numbers, so that's just how it is. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I hope people can go see it. If this hits the algorithm, probably won't. Thanks, YouTube. I don't really care. But, I mean, I care enough to say it, but not enough to really care. But I just hope that it gets enough push. This movie does. So yeah. Anyways, that is it, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.